God. Oh my God. There's no way I can get through all this. I had no idea they'd have this much stuff. $1, I gotta take that. I don't even know who that is. Local H? For $1, for sure. Oh, look at that. I don't have that. Sinead O'Connor doing Silent Night, $1.99. I'll take it. The Forgotten Carols. To John Waters' Christmas. Awesome. All right. They're gonna kick us out soon, and I haven't even hit the vinyl yet. I'm sweating like crazy. Oh. I'm gonna burn through this stack, and then we're gonna just go talk to somebody, because there's clearly another section they're not letting me have access to. Oh, that's the section I want to be looking in. Thank you. Oh my God, here we go. Oh my God, oh my God. Wow. You see this record? This sells on eBay for about 60 to 80 bucks. $3.99. It goes for about 50 bucks on eBay. I've never been able to find it. Oh. God. This could be good. The World Vision Korean Orphan Choir. Gospel songs at Christmas. Santa ain't coming to town. Ooh, I missed that the first time around. I'm gonna take that. $2. I gotta get that one. I'll take them both. What the hell? How in the world am I going to afford all this? Oh my God. All right. Oh no. There's all these down here. Oh shit. Oh. We're just going to keep rolling here, right? Is that the idea?
Yeah.
Okay.
Before that, it was The Moon Glows, Just a Lonely Christmas.
That was a little bit weepy.
That was excellent.
Before that, we heard Mr. and Mrs. Snowman, Hank Thompson, again, one of the all-time greats. And what I like about that tune is they actually discuss the idea that Mr. and Mrs. Snowman want to have a little snowman. And I'm just trying to figure out how that would work. Johnny, can you get a visual on that? I don't know. This is Andy, and I'm here with Johnny, and this is our show called The Christmas Club. What do you got coming up here? Cousin, I collect a lot of music, but the music I collect the most and have been rather obsessed with for almost 25 years now is Christmas music. You got any Christmas vinyl? You're shaking your head like there's something wrong.
I find it perverse that you're asking.
Used to. I never thought of the concept of other people being this crazy that they would spend the kind of time and money and effort I was spending finding this music. But of course, it makes sense that there would be. And
But as a Jew, I tend to favor Santa Claus. All right, so look, so I've got a record collection, and it's of a decent size. It's nowhere near as large as it could have been. One way or another, I've been in the record business since I was 17, and so easily somewhere between 20 and 50 times the amount of these records has passed through my hands, and these are the ones I held on to. You got to edit in life. I'm not a completist, and I'm not entirely obsessed. Do you have a lot of people saying, I'm really not crazy? Does that happen a lot?
all the time.
Yeah, I'm really not crazy. So anyway, these are Christmas albums. Christmas albums here, Christmas 45s here. That's vinyl. One of the reasons I love vinyl still is because you get covers. Now, do I care about Lawrence Welk? Do I care about the music of Lawrence Welk? I don't care. I do not care. But this cover, this is a rare damn record, and I couldn't pass it up. Oh, this is also fairly widespread, but it's so much fun. Here's Christmas in the Tropics. This is rare. This is 86 maybe. This label and this group, or these groups, didn't do much else besides this. Oh my God. There are no words, fellas, are there? You know, I'm a Jewish guy. I married a Gentile woman. I never had Christmas before. I only really started to pay attention to it, and particularly to the Christmas music, when we got married. And I found the typical Christmas music grim in general. Just terrible. Even the great, and the great songs, the few great songs, were just beaten into the dirt through repetition.
The worst music in the world is bad Christmas music, because it's insincere, it's just out to make a buck, and it sounds like it, and there's tons of it.
Christmas is here. This year, Goodyear presents its newest album, The Many Moods of Christmas. This is a collection of 14 classic Christmas songs in one record.
These are records that are basically, so like here's from the 3M Corporation. These were gifts. This is the kind of things they would just hand out to employees instead of bonuses. And they're, you know, and they're always going to be the same. You're going to have your Crosby and your Vaughn, you know, and all the really, they're also quite horrible.
If you can have a Christmas hit, a seasonal hit, it's better than simply having a hit of a popular love song, let's say, because you've got something that becomes recurrent, something that becomes cyclical, that year after year can become a revenue generator in the form of royalties.
You know, you could put them out every year and you would sell, you know, 25, 35,000 at least over the holidays every year. There were still people out there that were thinking about, I'm going to write a Christmas song, you know, and a record company that would say, I'm going to record that Christmas song.
Is it White Christmas still the best-selling single of all time?
I'm pretty sure it still is. Yeah.
And, you know, for a long time, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer was #2. So the two most largest selling singles in America have been Christmas records. And of course, again, most of the Christmas songs, at least traditional ones, were all written by Jewish men. Yeah.
The weirdest thing.
Well, they know
They understand the holiday.
they have. Well, they don't have nothing to do. They have nothing to do on that holiday.
You know, not to get negative about it, but I think that Christmas for most folks is about tradition. People like what's familiar over and over again. It spells Christmas to them. So, you know, that record, you know, means the same thing to you as, I don't know, a Christmas fruitcake or something. It's a kind of food you wouldn't eat any other time of year, but if they put it in front of you at Christmas, you're going to eat it and you're going to say, wow, my mom used to make something like this.
People like to hear the same thing at Christmas that they've heard before, because that's what Christmas is about. It's about repeating the same thing. It's about marking the year. It's about traditions. It's about rituals.
We didn't have lots of Christmas records. I think there was a few around the house, you know. But you mostly heard Christmas music at Christmas time. And so, you know, the music and the memories and all the experiences are all, you know, they're all combined. So as you get older, you know, you hear a certain Christmas song by Andy Williams and you're transported back in time. It's probably to some joyous thing. And that pierces that pathway, you know, it goes directly back. You know, that's what that type of music does.
To remember our childhood, to understand where we came from and why we're here, there's nothing like music.
Understand at the time the concept of a recording of an LP. It felt like he was alive in the room, suddenly explaining to me, trying to comfort me.
You don't know how records are put together, how music is even made. I mean, it's all magic, you know. But when I think of it now, I see there's just no way you could have had any defense to it. There's no way. You are just going to be...
A lot of people, no matter what their lives have been like, had happy Christmases. People tried to... Parents, no matter how rich or poor, how desperate they were, tried to give their families a good Christmas. And so it's often...
And none of that was at all reflected in the music I was hearing.
Next hour on Pearls of Christmas Eve, it's all Santa, so get some milk and cookies or something a little stronger maybe, because Santa Claus comes tonight.
What makes a good Christmas song to me is really what makes any song good, and that's heart, sincerity. Does it ring true? Does the singer, the writer, really mean that? Does it feel right? The instruments herself, including ones with her feet. She plays the drums with her feet. She's genius. Stuff that really is good. And there's enough of it to satisfy me. It's a joy.
So one day, literally, it all totally changed. I was in a thrift store. I found a record. It was called Jingle Bell Jazz. I flipped it over. I saw the name Miles Davis. And then I saw the name Bob Duro. To me, it was just...
bad taste. Sidewalk Santa Clauses are much, much, much too thin. They're wearing fancy rented costumes, false beards, and big fat phony grins. And everybody's standing around holding out their empty hand or tin cup. Gimme, 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 gimme. Fill my stocking up, all the way up. It's a time when the greedy give a dime to the needy. Blue Xmas. People trading gifts that matter not at all. Bitter gall, what I call folly rock. Folly rock.
It was as if all those years, somehow Bob Duro had heard my plea.
In the Poconos. There he is. Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning. I feel like I want to hug you.
Hey, you're almost as tall as the door. You can hug me.
All right.
I came to New York City in 1949 from Texas. You had to go somewhere, right, to get out of Texas. The bebop music was really thriving, and I went out to hear all the heroes of jazz. Miles was always a very kind of a standoffish guy with him. I'd try to speak to him, say, "Hey, Miles, that was a great set." He'd look at you and just keep walking, like you were a dummy. I didn't ever meet him in any personal way until Los Angeles. We went to a couple of parties in LA, and Miles would always corner me and grab me by the wrist and say, "Sing me a song." So I used to perform just for Miles. There I was in the middle of the summer, and just like Sammy Kahn said, Sammy Kahn, the great songwriter, they said, "What comes first, the lyric or the melody?" And he said, "The phone call." I answered the phone, and Miles said, "Bob, this is Miles. I want you to write me a Christmas song." "What?" "Let me see, B, 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 B. Gee, what kind of a song would you write for Miles Davis?" It had to be a kind of an alternative. I was that kind of a mind anyway, alternative. I was a beat cat. Just the idea that it was Miles Davis made me think I'm not going to write White Christmas or Jingle Bells or anything like that. Blue Xmas. When you're blue at Christmas time, you see right through all the sham, all the haste, all the waste, and plain old bad taste. That's sort of how I got started. I called Miles and said, I got a Christmas song. Well, come in Tuesday night, okay? You're going to sing it with me.
Okay, this is CO 75734, Blue Xmas 1.
Mary. So there I was. I was kind of scared, I must admit. I didn't know what was going to happen.
Now watch your P's. Like up, do it up.
What?
Your P pops.
Okay, I gotta say them.
I gotta say. As far as I can remember, there was only one take, but I think there's about 39. Miles would whistle, you know, like you're calling a taxi. Well, it takes a lot to stop a septet.
Gotta be something to connect A with that thing. Try it again. 12. Let's do one more.
Yeah.
Take 6.
It was quite not bad, huh?
That's pretty amazing. It was the first time I ever heard a Christmas song that was critical of the holiday.
You've been interested in Christmas songs a long time, huh?
I have. But this is the first one that inspired the obsession. That's where it all started.
He's got an obsession, all right.
Blue Xmas couldn't possibly be the only song out there. I knew from that moment on, there's got to be more of these songs. I knew I would have to find them in the same way I found the Giroux record, which was to stumble over it. I had to just search and search and search, and I spent years amassing a collection. But for the longest time, I didn't tell a soul what I was up to. I was in the Christmas closet.
All right, well, we're back, and we're getting ready to move into the second hour of our show. And
so what do you have on store?
I'm gonna hit some soul stuff here. These are some pretty rare soul 45s. This first track is one I did just find this year. I found it at a flea market for a dime. This one's called Winter Man, and I thought, well, that might work, and boy, did it ever. So we'll kick this set off with Clarence Reed doing We're There, you know. He went for it. You know, I didn't know what it was going to sound like, but for 10 cents, I would have given $1 even, you know. I would have really rolled the dice on this one because it felt right. And then, of course, it turned out to be just a stone cold. It's not the right time of year to buy Christmas records, but...
Yeah. Wait, there's Christmas album.
Ah, here we go. Okay. So they're down here.
This is Christmas stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
You're good. Let me dig through there. Thank you very much.
You have to spend some time.
Oh, believe me, that much I know. Well, I don't know what I'm looking for, Mitchell. As long as it's
Are you looking for rare stuff, or are you looking for stuff for your own collection?
Boy, well, I'm looking for like the stuff that I don't even know what it is. Okay. That's a good one. And I do not have it. Am I okay to pop out my little portable and just check out that scratch?
I've got it right.
That's how easy it is to set up.
Beer and my pile of Christmas records, and I spent the next 3 days going through all the records, putting together what became my very first Merry Mix.
Andy, for the longest time, has been putting together a year-end CD that, Jim, I mean, how else can we describe what Andy does? There is a underground of tape traders and CD traders across the country who do this, try to make cool Christmas discs every year.
The only thing more fun than collecting all this stuff is getting to share it, and I appreciate the opportunity to do it.
This year is the version, it's 2010. I've got our friend Sammy Davis Jr. on the cover. When I saw it, I said, oh, that's the cover of this year's Christmas challenge.
Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. And a Happy New Year.
I will buy maybe 50, possibly, potentially cool Christmas records to bake it down to maybe one track that makes the disc?
You know, it takes me almost a full year to make a good Christmas CD, and I'll usually start at the very beginning of January. Usually I have it pretty well put together by Thanksgiving. And then by December 1st, I've usually torn it up and started again.
I made a list of all the people I wanted to give them to, and then I sent them out and waited to hear back.
You know, I send it out there with love. I wait for applause. You know, if I don't get it, I might nudge you a little bit. Which tracks did you like best? You know, anything in particular catch your ear? That kind of real subtle questioning.
People loved it. People totally connected to the music. And that was by far the best Christmas present, the best Christmas I've experienced. At 23 years later, I'm still doing it.
Whether or not you know it, you can feel better if you find the right music. Now Christmas means Christmas jollies. It's the opportunity for me to make the soundtrack, and it's the white whale for me. Every year I go after it. Gentleman is a legend, am I wrong?
You produce Christmas records.
A lot of Christmas records. You were standing in one of the most outstanding record shops in the whole of Brooklyn.
So how long have you had this shop?
Almost just right into 40 years.
Whoa!
And so we produce a lot of the calypsos and a lot of Christmas songs.
Right here on these premises?
Yes.
You got a studio
There's
right here?
a studio above us. A lot of the compilation on there, they got something they call parang music.
Mm-hmm.
It means that you're going from houses to houses. They play the music with cacho, and they go to the home. People do all those preparations, cook all those food and all those ham and all that stuff, because they know you're coming.
It's the music, the food, the rum, it's the drinking, and that goes on 24/7.
No. That's a good topic, because we keep talking about this.
That's great. That's good. Beautiful. Perfect. Thank you. Cheers. Appreciate it.
There was that hunt that you'd go through sale lists and you'd go through auctions and you'd go through record stores, and all of a sudden you'd see a title and you did on a 45 and you go, I know this is old and it looks like it might be cool, for $2 I think I'll try it. I'm of the age where I, grew up with Christmas music in the late 40s, and it's pretty much, it was very limited at that time.
The longer it's around, the less you would question its power. It's like Jesus Christ himself. Of course it's powerful.
And most Christmas music was really aimed at your older, established, middle-class audience, and you kind of got the same thing. Now, all of a sudden, in 1957, the music started to broaden, and the teen market started to take over. And what the record industry people realized after Elvis Presley, had success, and Brenda Lee had success, the floodgates were open. And that is where, if you wanted to call it the Big Bang according to Christmas, and Christmas music and Christmas rock and roll, there's where it's...
Get to know the people in your house. You might like them. I just think it's so good. The free design was composed of my brother Chris and Bruce and myself when we started. We named ourselves the Village Fair, and we went down to the bitter end and coffee shops down in Greenwich Village and sang for free. That's how it started, really.
Christmas means a million magic things to those who tried.
I think we were just in a state of kind of wonder, because it happened all so fast, and the first TV show we did was Johnny Carson, and just everything seemed to be happening really fast.
Know the people in your house. Get to know the people in your house.
That's classic. Get to know the people in your house. You might like them.
Anti-war demonstrators protest U.S. involvement in the Vietnam War in mass marches, rallies, and demonstrations.
It was the Vietnam time, and Chris had to go in somewhere, somehow, so he fortunately got into he did a training down in Texas and then went right into the Air Force and was in the Air Force band and played trumpet and arranged.
At the height of the Vietnam War, they were co-opted by the man to sing for...
But they got
Wow.
the last laugh because they wrote this song that's basically saying, you know, this is a mess. Why don't we go back to the shepherds and wise men and figure out a way to all get along and move forward?
This is a contemporary look at Christmas in music and comment. That's the Airmen of Note in the background under the direction of Chief Warrant Officer Bob Bunting. They're the official United States Air Force Dance Orchestra, and singing with them, special guest stars, the Free Design.
Let's become like shepherds again. Let's make room for wise men. Let's take time to look for a star not forgotten.
It's so perfect. It's the ultimate contradiction. Air Force recruitment record, anti-war Christmas song, and like, you gotta think the Air Force just couldn't figure out that's what that was about. This is a real score because it's so insane. Again, it's a war-related Christmas track that needs to be heard.
I guess I'll have to spend my Christmas here in Vietnam. Out in some foxhole, fighting the Viet Cong.
When Vietnam hit, there was, again, Christmas music looking to be rejuvenated. A number of the songs tied into the fact that the GIs weren't here, and so you see a lot of that kind of thing.
You know, R&B and blues artists would do songs about, having the blues at Christmas time. Christmas in Vietnam, or Freddie King, Christmas Tears, and all of that. I go, that reached me.
With my loved one,
It's very far from the concept of jingle bells and have yourself a merry little Christmas.
And in my mind, I go, okay, this is it. Christmas is just not for my parents anymore.
I'm gonna do a little song for you. I know this is the Christmas season, and I think about now, I ought to do a little Christmas music for you. Y'all remember that song I had called Backdoor Santa? Yeah, well, I'm gonna do that for you right now because I went down the chimney, but I couldn't get back up. So I had to go out the back door. You know what I'm saying? If you notice, the thread of my success down through the years has been always being naughty, you know? Marcus Daniel was my bass player, and he says, hey man, I got some lyrics here, but I don't know what to do with them. What are they? He said, think Backdoor Santa. Backdoor Santa? I didn't think of it as being a big hit song, but I put some music to it, and then we went to multiple shows, and Rick Hall, who was my producer, we had to throw out because they were a little too vulgar. We couldn't use those.
Backdoor Santa, that's what they call me. Call me Backdoor Santa, and I like it like that. I like it, 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 I like it. Backdoor Santa.
Yeah, I'm going in somebody's back door tonight.
So we're a little bit lost, but we're in Baltimore and we're searching for John Waters' house.
Hi, come on in.
This is the electric chair from Female Trouble, but you really can't tell. It looks exactly like one. It's built to scale, and it's decorated. We decorate it every year. You can't even tell it's an electric chair, really. Christmas, you can love it or hate it, but you can't really ignore it. I like Christmas, and I've used Christmas in my work. The Christmas tree falling over on my grandmother, I exaggerated and turned into something in Female Trouble that was completely different. I make my own Christmas cards every year, so I like it. I always sort of try to take what the traditional thing was and put a little spin on it. When I was young, we did terrible stuff because Divine would almost go to prison every year. He and Cookie sawed down a tree that was the sheriff's in Provincetown that was fully decorated on their lawn and took it home. So we broke into cars and stole Christmas presents. I have bad Christmas karma. I did stuff I am ashamed about. I do hang out with this one friend of mine who has a hot rod, and we used to drive through alleys with video cameras on the front.
Christmas time is coming.
He would put all the trees in the alley and then set them on fire, and then we'd run through them in the car and film it. It was really fun. That's after Christmas, when people throw them in the alley. They really burn. They're a pyromaniac's dream.
Christmas time is here. Christmas time.
When I was growing up in the 50s, doo-wop was the first thing that I heard. You know, I lived in a white neighborhood with a little black section nearby, and at night, just like in Hairspray, I could hear the black men walking home singing, you know, like totally doing doo-wop, and it was like liberating as this young white boy sitting in my bedroom hearing it. It was like freedom. Oh my God, I wish I lived there. I wish I lived in that neighborhood.
Film director John Waters, who has given the world Pink Flamingos, Hairspray, and many others, has a new production out, and it is apparently a labor of love. John has a new Christmas compilation out called John Waters Christmas.
I'm Fat Daddy. I'm Santa Claus. Woo, woo, yeah. I'm Fat Daddy. The reindeer boss.
Fat Daddy was really the black rhythm and blues disc jockey in Baltimore, who Motormouth Maybelle is based on in Hairspray. And he hosted Negro Day on the Buddy Dean Show, which was what I loosely based Hairspray on.
I packed my sleigh.
It was like the local version of American Bandstand, and it was an all-white show, but once every month, it was called Negro Day. They called it Guest Day on the air, but it was called worse in real life in some neighborhoods, if you want to know the truth. So he was very much a huge influence, and he wore a crown and a cloak, and he's, I'm Fat Daddy, and that was a big hit, that song, only in Baltimore. But I knew I had to have that as the first song on the album because I grew up with that, and every Christmas, every kid in Baltimore, white and black, knew that song, and that really brought the races together in a racially tense city when there were race riots going on.
Tell me about Santa Claus as a Black Man.
Santa Claus as a Black Man, I used to just hear it on the radio, and to me as a white kid, I thought, what a good idea. I mean, Santa Claus is a black man, I hope. When I was he was then the governor of Maryland, O'Malley was the mayor then. When we turned on the Christmas tree lights, he asked me to turn on the Christmas tree lights for the city of Baltimore in Mount Vernon Square. That's the song we played.
I don't know if any of you remember, there was a major department store in Brooklyn. It was called A&S, Abraham and Strauss. And we wanted our children, you know, to sit on Santa Claus's lap just like all the other children. So when we got there and there was no Black Santa, we didn't expect one, but we asked to see the head of the department store, and we asked him, you know, that there are so many black people that patronize your store, and there is no reason why you should not have a Black Santa Claus. The very next day, there was a Black Santa Claus. In fact, we have a picture of her sitting with the black.
Boarding session, do you remember?
So the story goes that I refused to sing. I was painfully shy when I was young. Painfully shy. I just said I was not going to, but as soon as they played the music, I got up and sang.
Mama must have met Santa Claus before, 'cause he started dancing all over the floor.
The 70s, you know, that was the time of self-awareness and, you know, black is beautiful. Teddy called himself a born-again African, you know. He was always thinking about making records where, you know, his people can identify with positive images.
Beyond the Christmas song and all the political, ideological connections to this record, when I hear this song, I feel an incredible amount of love that my father had for me.
Like you.
Santa Claus for you guys is a white guy, right? And Santa Claus for us guys is a black guy. It's as simple as that.
Santa Claus is Sometimes Brown is a traditional Elvis tune. Santa Claus is back in town. My version, making the Santa Claus gift giver a brown man. And show you all, this is the Mexican version of that.
Got no sleigh with reindeer, no sack on my back. You gon' see me coming with my big brown Cadillac. Oh, it's Christmas time, pretty baby. But there's no
I used to run an art gallery called La Luz de Jesus, and I had curated a show on the theme of Elvis Presley, and I had hired an Elvis impersonator for the opening, and he wasn't the best, but he inspired me enough. I thought, I could do that. I could be Elvis, the Mexican Elvis. White Christmas, although it's a picture book traditional, there's a whole world out there who doesn't relate to snow. Still can celebrate Christmas, but in a different way. Christmas is kitsch.
There's lots of people that I want to do Christmas, but have not. Punk rock, the Sex Pistols. Why didn't Ike and Tina Turner ever do one? Why aren't there any rap Christmas albums?
Run DMC and Christmas in Hollis.
The idea was Christmas in Hollis because that's where they were from, and it's a neighborhood in Queens, and they were open to it. You know, they were open to doing something for the Special Olympics, and they were open to doing a Christmas record. And you know, I called Run at home, and you know, he started writing lyrics right away to this theme of Christmas in Hollis.
So put these on, and then before you get to the door, we'll surprise them.
I'll say.
Oh my God.
What can I do? I'm putting the ill and ill battler today, baby.
It's Christmas.
Yeah.
Bill took care of mostly everything when it came to the groups. So I'd get a call from Bill, and it's almost like you get a call from Bill, you know something has to be done. So I'm high, eating breakfast, smoke my weed, do what I do, and Bill calls, Joe, there's this record that you have to make for Special Olympics. He's trying to explain it all to a high guy. I'm like, so what do I gotta do? Like, he's like, write a Christmas record. We said, talk about what happens in Hollis, Christmas in Hollis. So I'm like, cool. I hang up with him, I push my eggs to the side, take a piece of paper, and the pen. Bill, I'm finished. Might have been 15 minutes, 10. Could have been 7. Don't make me get shorter. It was quick. The paper, I wish I still had it, had eggs on it when it was finished. Because it came quick and it was great. And then we went downtown to the Chung King studio, which is where they cut all their wonderful records. And I brought a crate of records, Christmas records, with me. So Run and D, who were the rappers, went into another room to smoke a joint. You know, this was Jason's, realm. And he puts the needle down on Clarence Carter's Backdoor Santa. And I didn't even see any changes in his expression, but he picked the needle up and he put it back to the beginning of the song, and he played it again, right? And he's listening to it, and I don't think more than 20 or 30 seconds passed before it was magical. Run DMC came out of the other room like Heckle and Jekyll. They were kind of being wafted along by the sound of this record. We probably all started jumping up and kind of dancing around Bill and saying, this is crazy. They came in and they listened to it with Jay, and everybody knew that was going to be the basis of the song right there.
had to make a decision. Steal from Santa Claus. My favorite rhyme maybe I've ever written. So I was going home to mail it back to him that night, because my soul won't let me rest if I don't figure out how to get all this money back to this imaginary thing I saw in Hollis, this Santa Claus. But I got it on my bug, because under the tree.
Nice, John. It was a great set.
Thank you. What do you have in store for us here next?
I'm going to kick into some hillbilly music here, Johnny. Are you okay with that?
I'm all good.
You're
with
part
that.
hillbilly.
Yeah.
I know I am, and I'm proud to say it.
I want a boyfriend for Christmas, one who will bring me romance.
After hearing and seeing Andy's collection, I realized I was sort of skimming the surface.
I'm Rob Martinez. I'm from Fort Wayne, Indiana.
My name is BC Sturridge from the Lost Media Archive.
My name is Al Aitchison. I am a New York City-based Christmas music weirdo.
And this is the record that is the most significant in my collection.
Okay, so what circumstances motivated me to start collecting? I got started collecting Christmas music back in 1990 when I worked in Chicago with two guys named Andy Surzan and John Sauce.
Well, there got to be a point when it was Christmas time, and of course I'd play some Christmas music as a disc jockey on a station called KPPC FM. I became known as the funny music guy. Wind up your radio, I'm Dr. Demento with songs that dare to be funny.
There was clearly a whole other realm of music and collectors who are way more obsessed than I am.
This is probably one of my favorite records. It's a pre-war blues 78 by Blind Lemon Jefferson, Christmas Eve Blues. I'll probably be buried with it.
This is an important record to me because it's the first time I realized there was some really weird stuff out there.
Christmas Piggy with the Apple in the Mouth by the Hunt Sisters.
Death Might Be Your Santa Claus.
Elvin, the Black Christmas Elf.
I saw Mommy spanking Santa Claus.
I want the South to win the war for Christmas.
Hang your balls on the Christmas tree. I want a casting couch for Christmas. Real adults only stuff in here, kids.
Merry Christmas Someone. It's not even like Merry Christmas Betty or anything. It's Merry Christmas Someone. Anyone.
I mean, there are brilliant ideas for Christmas songs, and there are ones that are not quite so swift.
If anyone knows the name and the artist of this record, will you please call and let me know?
I'll hang and prepare my brother's pants. What do you think of that one, Mitch?
Thanks to you for listening. Do good to yourself, be senselessly joyful, and don't forget to stay demented. The next song you'll hear is called Christmas in My Pants.
All right, we have just stepped into a winter wonderland that is unlike any other winter wonderland that we know of.
You find old 78s, 45s from the 30s and 40s and 50s, song poems, these things that people made up on their own with some sent away, mail order.
I'm not sure if everybody knows what a song poem is or not.
Yeah, no, what? Tell us, Andy.
People would write poems and send them in to these fixers who would then slap them into shape as a song. They'd send this person 100 copies of the record, and they'd be recording stars.
I waited in the shadows all night, but when he came, he gave me a fright.
So over the years, these have gone into circulation. It became kind of a secret society of music fans and collectors.
Gone were the silver whiskers on his face. He looked like a creature from
You know, you can't really describe them. You have to hear them to understand the dementia that can come out of these things. They're prone to be fairly absurd tunes, but when the stars align and one of them really like kicks on all cylinders, you can come up with some insane stuff, and I really do get a huge kick out of it just because of the lengths people go to try to tie Christmas into whatever's going on at the time. Well, the outer space thing, of course, obviously was huge when the space age was taken off, and so for a while there was quite a bit of activity with Santa and outer space stuff.
Allentown's fairgrounds receive an unearthly visitation with thousands of cheering kids on hand, alerted in advance to expect not Martians, not Russians, but Santa, traveling by Sputnik.
that line, "Say it isn't so," this idea that we all have this change at Christmas. And then the cynical view is, of course, it's just for a moment, then we go back to being our normal selves, If you can do it at Christmas time, why can't you just do it and be that way? Why can't you just change? And we see how that's not really a change. It's like it's just an idea that people embrace. They don't really change very much at all. I've come to this giant family. There's 6 of us, and my brothers and I, we would stay out. We thought it was all night back then, but it was probably only till 2 or 3 in the morning. And television back then, would sort of play till about 11 o'clock at night, and then whatever the stations had, whatever movies they had, they would play them, and then there'd be some religious programs or whatever.
It is because Jesus Christ.
And my mother would just leave the TV on all the time, and we would come home. Sometimes she'd be in front of the TV, and most of the time sleeping. But this one time, she talked about this movie. All is bright. This Christmas movie that we could never find. You couldn't tell where they were. They were on a ship, or they were in a ship at sea, or they were in outer space. But this group of guys somehow knew that, whatever belly of the machine that they were in was somehow dying, and they were going to die with it. And they were visited by this entity. And the entity didn't save them, but it appeared that the way that this was going to happen was going to be all right. And as time passed, this movie always stayed with me. I remember my mother talking about it, and it was powerful. And at the time I was thinking, well, we'll find out what this movie is, and we'll watch it. It sounds amazing. But the movie I could never find the movie. And I, in time, surmised or came to the conclusion that the movie didn't really exist. But I'd spent so much of my life thinking, I'm going to see this movie. I think what she did is she fell asleep watching one movie. Someone probably came in, changed the channel. She woke up, saw a little bit of another movie, went back to sleep. And then that movie ended, and she probably watched another one. And in her mind, she put them all together, as you do when you're in and out of sleep. And for her, it was just one movie. And in my mind, I kept thinking, well, I think I have to make this movie. When we decided that we were going to make Christmas on Mars, we wanted to make soundtrack music. So part of it was that, well, we make music for our own movie. Well, it satisfied it enough for me that I no longer searched for it. I just made it, and it got that thing, out of me, or satisfied it enough that I could finally move on with my life. And that, that is the nature of really, it's probably the reason you're doing this now. It's, you don't, you walk around, all your days are filled up with a piece of your mind going towards this thing. And you're either keeping it there and starting to become that and do that and be that, or it drives you crazy.
Here's the little boy that Santa Claus.
So every year when I start putting together my annual compilation of Christmas songs, I think, okay, this is going to be the year that I can finally include Nat's version of The Little Boy That Santa Claus Forgot. It's going to sound a little silly, but I never can do it. I have put other versions of it on my mix, and one of the best is by Aaron Moran.
Here's the little boy that Santa Claus forgot, and goodness knows fear didn't want a lot.
I grew up in New Jersey, on the Jersey Shore. We had a stack of albums that we would listen to pretty traditionally, you know. Nat King Cole, Frank Sinatra, the Chipmunks, which was It wasn't Christmas until the Chipmunks album was played. That great introduction.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm David Seville.
Yeah.
You know, I'd be coming home from school, and my mom would be in the kitchen doing dishes and, you know, singing at the top of her lungs, you know, some Edie Gourmet song or something. Lately, the last couple of Christmases, just sort of try to avoid the holidays. You know, you get to a certain point in your life sometimes where it's like the last thing you want to be involved in is just Christmas.
The Mojo charity record came about how?
I think they just got in touch with me or my manager at the time and just asked if I had something or if I wanted to do something. Of course, I said yes. And, you know, went about doing this song.
In the street, he envies all those lucky boys.
I chose The Little Boy That Santa Claus Forgot because I loved it. It was one of my mother's favorite songs, and it was, you know, perfect song for what I wanted to say. Slow, depressing, you know, the usual. And plus, it never got played much on the radio at all, so it was that odd, you'd hear it very rarely, so it was really special when you did hear it. And, you know, you'd sort of stop in your tracks and...
Merry Christmas.
You know, just an angle you didn't hear in Christmas songs. It taps into that insecurity, that, you know, fear of, you know, not getting our fair share.
Right. And the idea that Santa would forget about you
That
and pass you by. I was.
I know.
That
Who would have
terrified
thought he was such a heartless bastard?
Exactly. I never thought that could be possible.
I know. And the little boy had been good.
Yeah.
That
and
was the double whammy, you know.
And it wasn't his fault that his father
Right.
wasn't.
So very representative of life, actually. Even when you're good, you can get screwed.
The little boy that Santa Claus forgot.
I'm just gonna buy this one. So I'm gonna buy that.
Only music. What about this one? Is this an instrumental? Steel band?
Yeah. There is sad songs. There are songs that put you into a sad mood.
There's a song Nat King Cole cut a long time ago called "The Little Boy
That Santa Claus forgot."
Yeah,
you know about that one?
We identify with that.
Exactly.
Christmas time, you know, poor. You ain't had nothing. You gotta make your own little toy, a little float.
Right.
You know, to blow, you know, because your parents can afford it.
We grew up listening. No, here's what I want to know.
You're kidding me.
Tell me there was a calypso version of that song. Even if you didn't produce it, Charlie, we want to know.
That's what I told him.
No, not the same thing. Not the same song. Nobody sang the Nat King Cole song. You can't go better than that.
You know what? You know how you hear that song, you feel a little something for it?
Yeah.
This man was 5 years old and he heard that song and he thought they were talking about him. That was his story. That's why he's making this movie now.
Something around this year that makes me feel rich. I don't know.
That's nice.
Yeah, it makes me feel rich.
Rich in spirit.
Yes, in the spirit.
Just right to the studio, the world famous studio.
You had Ahmad Jamal here. You had Curtis Blow.
Spike
Wait,
Lee. They all work.
What? Spike Lee came
They all
here?
working.
So I tell you what.
Back in the day, this
If we cannot find a vintage calypso of The Little Boy That Santa Claus Forgot, if we can't find one already recorded, we're going to do one together, you and me. Maybe.
Yeah. I'll pick you up on that. No searching first, I'm just
Who does it?
Sparrow will be good.
But who would be that?
Sparrow will be
Who would
good.
understand the song?
Want to do a happy feeling one? You want to do a happy one? You want to do a sad one? You can do that.
Oh my God, this is incredible. I got tears in my eyes.
Okay.
I'll tell you what.
I like to be out with a big man. My daughter.
Isn't it just really fun to be part of making that feeling happen, sort of that moment that you can stand still for a second and feel everything.
Lo, our guests in studio, there's definitely a spiritual aspect to your sound. Tell us more about, the role of spirituality in your music.
I guess technically on the surface, Mim and I are Mormons, LDS, and I don't.
Chris Dedrick, who is the mastermind behind the free design, passed away this year. He wrote Shepherds and Wise Men, just some of the greatest original Christmas stuff.
And tell me when the two of you met again?
We met in '73.
Right.
Yeah, a year after he had moved to Canada.
Right. Oh my God, this is so exciting. Wow.
These are just all albums that Chris either worked on or produced or sang on.
Wow.
And a lot of interesting free design things.
Oh my God, look at that.
From,
oh my God, look at that. Wow, I haven't even seen this one. Oh, that's so beautiful.
Things from Japan.
Oh, the Japanese just do it so, look at that. Oh man, I love that cover. That's so great.
Cover, yeah,
Oh, I just love it.
I'm looking for, I think this may be all free design here.
There it is.
Oh.
That's the one.
Is this it?
Yes, that's it.
Okay.
That's it.
Yeah,
Amazing.
they're there on the back with the arm
Beautiful.
of note.
Beautiful. This is so precious, so rare. And on this record, there's an interview where they're discussing what motivated the record, how they feel about Christmas.
Well, if you listen to the words, close your mouth, except to sing. And there's too much noise at Christmas, and if we would quiet down, we might be able to find some of the... Christmas really is a miracle type of feeling. There's such a spirit that you can only discover if you kind of shut your own noise off for a while and listen for that kind of joy that is there if you look for it.
I'm just really glad that there are recordings of Chris's voice. It was very beautiful. And the blend of the free design was something incredibly special.
If you don't mind, could you talk about the last Christmas that you spent together?
We had just gotten back from Germany, and there was the thought, just for a moment, of it was just too much to have it and get up a tree and everything, and then we decided, no, we're going to have a fabulous Christmas, and we put up the tree and did the whole thing, and we had a really lovely Christmas. I started on a portrait of Chris, and that was done over the Christmas period. I kept saying to him, well, I think I'll wait until you're better, and then I'll do the portrait, but he kept saying, no, I think you should do it now, so I'm really glad that I did.
There's one exception to my father not being around. I can remember when I was around 6, my father got reel-to-reel tape machines so that the families could exchange audio updates of how our lives were, particularly at Christmas time. Great idea, but it never went beyond the one tape that I still have.
Yesterday, we went to cut down our own Christmas tree. We drove about 60 miles out of Calgary, 60 miles back. Spent $5 on gas and got a $2 tree.
He's talking to me, he's trying to get me, I was in the school play, I played one of the 3 wise men in the school play. And he's trying to get me to talk to my cousin.
Hello. Merry Christmas.
I'm super shy and he can barely hear me.
I'm a shepherd for school.
My mother pipes up in the background.
George won $50 worth of booze on a ticket.
And my dad's like,
Yeah. Yeah, on a 50-cent ticket, they phoned me up and said you won $50 worth of booze. So I'm really set up for this Christmas.
It sounds like he's already spent the $50 on booze and drank it all.
We thought this would be a nice gift, and maybe we could then keep in touch more often. George, you should have started the whole thing with Merry Christmas. Okay, Carol.
You know, it's the guest trying to maintain some kind of a semblance of a family being together, celebrating Christmas.
When my father was dying of cancer, it was around, it was started, you know, in the fall, but went all the way through that Christmas. And I remember one night when my mother was driving home, you know, it starts to get dark early. My mother always, it's never liked that it just gets dark too early. It was dark before I even left work, you know. And I remember she remarked one night of how it's like, tonight wasn't so bad because people had started to put up Christmas lights, you know. And on her drive, you know, suddenly there's little things. And it's like, it never occurred to me that was part of it, you know, that as it got darker, you were adding more light and more color and stuff as it got grayer and bleaker, you know what I mean? But it could change someone's state of mind. Those silly little lights on those houses that someone, you know, in the cold and in the dark and all that, you know, put those up, made sure they were working or whatever. And it did that, you know, and that's a real thing. And if that's spending your money on something, if that's throwing it away, I say let's throw all our money that way. That's a great thing.
Here's the whole thing about, you know, commercialism and everything. If your mind is going in that direction totally, you miss the whole point. But there's a magic about Christmas because people's minds are more open to magic and to happiness. They want it to be a happy time, you know? And therefore, the atmosphere changes. I'm positive.
Here, then they are.
Yeah. Last Christmas, I came to this record store with Bill Adler, thinking I was going to buy a couple of cool Calypso records. Then I met this man. We started talking about Christmas music. And there's this Nat King Cole song that we're playing now that started this whole obsession that I have with Christmas music and the whole journey that we're on. Just give me a minute. Sorry. And at the end of it, we made a pact. Do you remember what that was?
Yes. It would be great if you can do a version of that record and say, well, look, there's one person that I can recommend that has the voice and the charisma, and he's that type of person that I believe can do the song, and that's the Mighty Sparrow. He will be the man that you want to make your dream come true, and your history and the journey that you came from being accomplished. Who wouldn't want to be in the company of the Mighty Sparrow?
Okay, here we go.
Let's start it.
He's the little boy that Santa Claus forgot, and goodness knows he didn't want a lot. He sent a note to Santa for some soldiers and a drum. Broke his little heart when he found Santa hadn't come. In the streets he envied all those lucky boys, then wanders home to last year's broken toys. I'm so sorry for that laddie, he hasn't got a daddy, the little boy that Santa Claus forgot.
You know Christmas comes but once a year for every girl and boy. The laughter and the joy that they find in each brand new toy.
I'll tell you about a little boy who lives across the way. This little fella's Christmas is just another day. He's the little boy that Santa Claus completely forgot. And goodness knows, he didn't want a lot. The little boy that Santa Claus forgot. 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 This is the Mighty Sparrow wishing you Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Holidays.
One more?
All right. Well, we're getting there. We're closing in on 2 hours of being able to do something that we really enjoy this time of year, and get to share our holiday records with all you people.
And sharing them with each other, because for the most part, we don't share songs throughout the year.
I never thought in my wildest dreams there were other people like me who did this. And there was a community out there. I didn't feel alone anymore. I felt like I somehow met a whole bunch of kindred spirits. I felt vindicated. I felt like, okay, gosh, I guess I'm not so weird after all.
Merry Christmas. Oh, thanks.
A Christmas gift.
Thank you so much. Oh, that's lovely.
Did you ever see that before? I never saw that before.
It's amazing.
Merry Christmas.
What? That's mine?
It's yours.
What? Isn't this yours?
No, it's yours.
You have another one?
These are the type of albums I'm talking about.
Wow. Thank you.
Ooh, nice wrap job, too.
That was my girlfriend Elaine's wrap.
I was going to say, no guy could have wrapped this. Stomping Tom Connors. Wow.
What type of question is that? That's not even a question if there's a Santa Claus. Of course there's a Santa Claus. I wouldn't even be in this house. We wouldn't have no heat on if it was no Santa Claus. Santa Claus? Everything is Santa Claus.